Okay, so we are now live to YouTube, so we're going to get our meeting started. So the roll call's already been taken. Thank you all for joining. And we're going to do some elections of the chair and the vice chair. So would anybody like to nominate, put forth any nominations for chair? Or is there anyone that would be interested that would be seeking a nomination?
How many members are we missing before we vote on this?
So you have quorum, so you have 9 members and there are 5 of you present. If you'd prefer, we can also just do an election for the chair, a chair and a vice chair for this meeting, and then we can hold off until the next meeting to do chair for a full term if you'd prefer to do that. So would anybody like to nominate someone to be chair for this meeting? Or is anyone interested who would be willing to seek a nomination for this meeting? Unfortunately, we can't start the meeting until we do have a chair. So if anyone would like to take the reins, we'll just make it for this one meeting, and then we can again do elections next time. But unfortunately, we cannot do the meeting unless we do have a member that is chairing.
I'll help you out.
For sure. Thank you very much, Sandy. If you'll see that document that I had emailed previously, and I will be here to walk you through every step. So no worries there. And I really appreciate you doing that.
Just tell me what to do.
For sure. No worries. Okay. So we will also, we will conduct the election for vice chair again at the next meeting. So thank you very much, Sandy. So Sandy, if you want to start by reading off the yellow text under the green text that says after elections are complete, it's just our rules of procedure.
Okay. I'd just like to remind members of the Brantford Accessibility Advisory Committee of a few procedural rules to assist the meeting in operating as efficiently as possible. All members remain muted when not speaking for the meeting to reduce feedback. All web cameras for committee members should be turned on. Staff will request to join the video meeting should the need to answer questions arise. Any member of the committee should indicate they wish to speak, physically raising their hand. In the event a connection service interruption occurs that affects quorum of the committee, we may recess the meeting for up to 15 minutes to regain quorum. If quorum is not achieved, the meeting will be adjourned. All members of the committee participating via online video conference will vote by a physical show of hands. The chair will indicate to leave your hands raised until he or she has determined the result of the vote. Okay, is that?
Yep, and now you can move on to the declarations of conflict of interest.
Declarations of conflicts of interest. Are there any declarations of conflicts of interest for any items listed on today's agenda? Okay, I don't see any. Alrighty, so there's no delegations for today's meeting, is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
All right. Items for consideration. We'll now move on to items for consideration. So item 5.1.1 site plan review, 63 Wharf Street. Calling upon Nicole Petenuzzo, the senior planner, development planning, to provide a verbal overview of the site plan. And there's Nicole there. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Petenuzzo, and I am the senior planner that's going to be working on the file. I think that there was going to be a site plan brought up, so there we have it. So this is a site plan that was sent in. We haven't had an opportunity to receive comments from all staff or to have the development review meeting on it yet. So it came in a little bit earlier but we wanted to put it on this meeting just to ensure that you had an opportunity to look at it. This is going to the May development review meeting for comments. So this is for a 3-story medical building. The total square footage is 4,037 square meters. It's within the urban growth center, and it's also within a special policy area. The zoning for this, or the designation in the OP, is core commercial in the current OP. And in the new OP, it is actually downtown urban growth center designation. So just some information for you. The zoning is actually a split zoning. It has a flood prefix to it. So there's a part of the property that is within the floodplain, and that's the reason for the special policy area 1 as well. So we'll have to consider that when we're looking at the development. But from an accessibility standpoint, they and you can zoom. Can I zoom in, or can you zoom in maybe a little bit, Melanie? So thank you. Thanks. So the building envelope is actually backing onto Wharf Street. So the sort of the urban design and the frontage is facing, let's say, Clarence Street. So elevations were not provided for the application, but all of the accessible spaces are actually at the front of the building that is proposed for the development. So there are 7 proposed accessibility spaces, and 3 of them are the type A. So they've actually proposed also a pedestrian connection from Clarence Street here at the sort of the southeast corner of the building, if you can see that connection. So that is a proposed connection for accessibility that will connect to the 1.5 meter sidewalk that is proposed in front of the building, and also on the east side of the building. That's on the east side from near Wharf. So they have 3 entrances to the proposal. There's one on the far west that you can see on Wharf Street, and that is actually coming into the site. And that little area that you see that is just to the right of the entrance, that's the proposed ramp that goes to the underground parking. Mm-hmm. So at this point in time, they have a very preliminary underground parking layout. I would have to say, from a zoning and planning perspective, it needs some work. So they don't have any accessibility spaces proposed in that underground parking space at this time. So the only parking spaces that we're looking at are, again, in front of the building. So I would propose that when we're speaking with the applicant, that they would have some type of pedestrian connectivity from that west entrance off of Wharf into the site somehow. Although they have offered that on the east side along Wharf, they have that's going to have to have a depressed curve. But if you can see on the east entrance off Wharf, there is a 1.5
Nicole, I'm sorry to cut you off. I really do apologize. One of the committee members has just informed me that she'll have to leave at 1:30. We will lose quorum at 1:30 if she leaves. Okay. So I don't know if maybe if there's a way we can. I know there's 4 other site plans that need to be looked at. So if we can try and see if we can fit as much as we can in. Again, I'm very sorry to interrupt here.
Oh, no, that's fine. Actually, you know what? That's, for the most part, they're offering the 1.5 meter sidewalk. They do have the required amount of accessibility spaces. So I'll just leave it at that and ask if there's any questions or any additional comments that you would like to for me to jot down to relay to the applicant. So I'll leave it at that, just so we can be brief. Are there any questions from the committee? I'm happy to answer any questions. No.
Okay, so if there are no questions, we'll just zip along. Could I get a mover and a seconder on the motion to receive the information, and that all comments, if there, oh, yeah, so Chris is moving. Do I have a seconder? Sarah, so that the information regarding 63 Wharf be received and that all comments from the committee be forwarded to staff. Discussion? We're all good? Okay. All those in favor, please raise your hand. I can't see everyone else though. Or
If you change it to gallery view, you'll be able to see all the screens, but everyone does have their hand raised.
oh, okay. All right, then that's fine. So then I think we're good. Any opposed? Okay, I don't see anything. Now, do you want me to move on to 5.1.2?
Yes, please.
Okay, site plan review, 84 Linden Road. If I can call upon Casey Pongratz, senior planner, to provide a verbal overview, please.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for attending. I'll go through this as quickly as I can so we can try and get through all of the other items. This is an application for 84 Linden Road, which is the Linden Park Mall. In the area south of the mall, between the highway and the back of what used to be the Sears, they have cleared a large area and they are proposing a new Costco in that location. It's part of a master site plan, and this is phase one of a number of phases to the mall redevelopment, but this Costco is the first one. So they are planning a Costco with 14,736 square meters, and it will also have an associated gas bar between where the current tourism center is and the proposed Costco. So they have submitted 2 submissions to us so far. We are awaiting a third. We have been provided comments from Jenny Swicky regarding accessibility, but we do want the committee's comments if they have any as well. They are proposing a new right turn lane off of Wayne Gretzky Parkway, and there will be a main driveway from that right turn lane that goes over to Roy Boulevard. So it'll act almost as a road, but it's still a driveway. On that driveway, there are 3 intersections. One just past where the existing tourism is now, then a main one sort of midway through that will provide a connection between the main mall and the Costco, and then another intersection at the where the roundabout is for Roy Boulevard. The plan is being revised to include a bus stop along that main driveway right in front of the Costco. And there's also a curbed portion that will provide pedestrian connection from the front of the Costco over to that intersection, and then further pedestrian connections to the back of the mall. Transportation comments requested that a 4-way stop be installed at that middle intersection in order that pedestrians can cross the road safely. There are 8 accessible parking spaces shown on the plan right in front of the main doorway. And the comments that went back after the second submission that we required tactile warning surfaces in front of Costco. The latest discussions I've had with the agent representing this application, he's not working for Costco, he works for the mall. Costco is still resisting that comment. So that'll have to be explored further with them. But to date, we have the accessible parking spaces, we have pedestrian connections to the mall. And if there's any further questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I do believe that Jenny just wanted to jump in and make a few quick comments about this particular application. So Jenny, if you want to go ahead.
Yes, I did. I just wanted to mention that my main concerns with the site that I did take forward, comments forward, were the tactile warnings outside of the front of Costco, as it is a flush curb. I did feel like there should be some identification as to when you're crossing into traffic. And perhaps the committee can also comment on that to help us support that comment. And pedestrian connection was another concern, but I did hear they're putting in another transit stop. That was a huge concern of mine, but otherwise the site was compliant with all of the requirements.
Were there any other questions? Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder on the motion to receive the information and comments be forwarded to staff? Mover. Chris, thank you. A seconder, Brian, thank you. That the information regarding 84 Linden Road be received and that all comments from the committee be forwarded to staff. Any further discussion? No? Okay. We're going to try and squeeze one more in here. Okay, so 5.1. Oh, sorry, I should take the vote. All those in favor? Okay. Anyone opposed? Okay. So it's carried. The next item, site plan review 573-585 Colburn Street. Calling upon Jeff Medeiros, immediate planner, to provide a verbal overview, please.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff Medeiros. I'm an intermediate planner with the city. The application or the plan that you have on the screen right now is for a site plan application for 573-585 Colburn Street. Used to be a former Canadian Tire, and what they're proposing now, predominantly a residential development with some small scale commercial, 150 residential units in total, and then 19 commercial units. And you might be wondering where those commercial units are. They're in the 2 townhouse blocks that's basically right adjacent to Colburn Street, to the northern edge of the property. These are what I'm going to call mixed use townhouses, which basically means that there's sort of a live work situation where they have a small commercial unit at the ground floor, then a residential unit above. From an accessibility perspective, Jenny's been very much involved in the review of this, numerous proposals that have come through for this site. Accessible spaces located throughout, not just for the commercial, but for the residential, pedestrian connections, curb cuts, things like that. Like I said, it's predominantly residential, mostly townhouses, obviously, with some small scale commercial uses as well. And that's why it's before the committee this evening, or this afternoon, sorry. If there's any questions or comments, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Brian, you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question about public transit, because I know, well, it might even still be there. There's a Brantford transit stop on Colburn Street, somewhere in that area. Is there any plan to have the public transit access right into that property, or will it still be stopping on Colburn Street?
So Ellie Vandermeed, manager of transit, we would never go into a development like that with our 40-foot conventional vehicles. I would ask that Jeff, you send those documents through to me, because I will have to speak to the Brantford lift going on to these properties. And that's crucial, but Brantford Transit would still service the site on Colburn Street.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Okay, could I get a mover and a seconder on the motion, please? Bev, mover, seconder, please. Seconder, Chris, thank you. So that the information regarding 573-585 Colburn Street be received and that comments from the committee be forwarded to staff. Any further discussion? Okay, so all those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, it's carried. Okay. Did we already do this? Sorry. 5.1.4, the 249 Linden Road. Is that a new one?
That's a new one. That's Nicole's second one.
Okay, sorry, I got confused because I've got 3 screens on the go here. Sorry.
No worries.
So yeah, site plan review, 249 Linden Road. If we could have Nicole please speak to this. Thanks.
Good afternoon, committee. Again, it's Nicole Petnuzzo. This is a site plan, actually in a rezoning for a medical center on 294 Linden Road. And currently it's a vacant property. So they're proposing the medical offices, clinics with accessory pharmacy. So there are, from an accessibility standpoint, I did receive comments from Jenny Sawicki, and we did put those over to the applicant. But for the time being, we have the 2 spaces here, type A and type B. What we had suggested at the development review meeting with the applicant is that they provide a connection from the street. Right now, there's no sidewalk in front of this property, but we're asking that they extend the sidewalk from Roy Boulevard over to Linden, and then they would have some type of pedestrian connection to the site, to the front doors. And of course, it would have the tactile material in order to facilitate the accessibility standpoint within the traffic aisle. And also we've asked them to accommodate for another pedestrian access somewhere from these rear, even though they're not, there's no accessibility spaces in the rear, we have asked them to provide for a pedestrian connection. Ideally, it would not be within this vehicular traffic point, but we've asked them to do it on the actual west side of the property, but there may be a grade difference there. So we have addressed those accessibility points with the applicant. So if you have any comments or questions, I'm happy to receive them. Any questions? Yes,
Yep.
Kelly?
I just, again, if I could see that site plan, because by the looks of it off your screen, there is no in-out driveway for Brantford lift, and that would become a huge problem for us when we're taking clients there to be able to turn around, because now we're depending on vacant or empty parking spots to get that vehicle, or by the looks of it, we would have to drop back out onto Linden Road, and we can't be doing that. So I'd have that comment in there for sure.
So we have asked them, they have to provide for a loading space. If you want to bring that up again really quickly, Melanie, I don't know if you have an opportunity. We have asked them to provide for a loading space. They have provided the loading space here in the rear, but functionally it actually is not going to work. So we've asked them to put their turning movements in. So in their reconfiguration of this area, then we will also mention that we would need a turnaround for the Brantford lift. But the lift is actually, you're saying that it has to be in this area with respect to the pickup and drop off of the front doors, right?
Correct. It would have to be at the front doors, and we would need an in-out driveway. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not really acceptable for our buses to have to turn around in there or back out onto Linden Road or back in, so that the lift side and the proper passenger side is at the building, to make it totally accessible for our clients to get on and off our vehicles.
Okay, thank you. I'll make note of that comment. Thank you very much.
Were there any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, can I get a mover and a seconder on the motion to receive the information? Bev and Brian, thank you. So that the information regarding 249 Linden Road be received, and that all comments from the committee be forwarded to staff. Any further discussion? No, seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, it's carried. Do we still have Jenny with us? Oh,
Yes,
there you
we
are.
do.
Yes, okay. So I'll call upon Jenny, Accessibility Coordinator, to provide an overview of the Brantford Facility Accessibility Design Standards.
So I will refer to the document as FADS, which we do within the city, just simplifies things. Our last version was approved in 2010, and since then there have been changes to the AODA as well as expectations for accessibility as things progress. So it's time to revamp our FADS, which is applied to all city-owned, operated, and funded facilities, interior and exterior. I did a comparison along with staff. Along with staff from facilities, did a comparison between our existing FADS document and the most recent version of the Ontario Building Code, or OBC, as well as design of public spaces, and made sure everything in FADS was equal to or greater than the requirements of the other legislation. In the cases in which the other legislation was greater than FADS, and we felt that it was sufficient, we simply did just write, please refer to that piece of legislation. So there was no conflict of information. Sorry, the mailman just knocked on the door. So
No worries, this is COVID times. This is
I am so sorry. Of course, I am attached to my computer on my tray, so I can't even switch them away from the door.
no worries.
So we have made a number of changes. If you would like to read the document, I do have a version that has the changes highlighted, or you can simply do a comparison to the existing document, which can be found on the website, and I think we can send you the link to that. I'm in a follow-up email. I do apologize for the dog barking. So if you could please provide comments to me. That would be fabulous. If you've got any questions or concerns, please let me know. It is in draft form. So facilities and I are the only ones who have seen the document so far, but the plan is to distribute it to all staff for their comments next. And then of course, take it to council in the upcoming months. I believe, to the best of my ability, all accommodations have been considered for a variety of disabilities. And of course, it does state if there are any other questions to refer to legislation. So your comments would be greatly appreciated, and then we can proceed.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions right now for Jenny, or comments or anything?
Mel,
Okay,
can you
if I
send the
could-
link, or should I do that?
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
the link for,
The original document?
if you, it was attached to the agenda, and then I did provide an alternative version. So if we're talking, yeah,
That's the new version, but for comparison purposes.
sure. If you
I
want to
will
send that to
send
me,
the
then I
link
can
from-
distribute that to the committee for their information.
Okay, thank you.
So are we going to move in second that? I guess we would. Could I get a mover and a seconder to the motion to forward all the comments to staff? Mover Sarah and second Bev, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, so that comments on the Brantford Facility Accessibility Design Standards be forwarded to staff. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. Now move on to consent items. Future committee meeting dates. 3 meeting dates have been proposed in the agenda for the committee to meet. I'd ask Melanie, the committee coordinator, to provide an overview of this item, please.
Hi, everybody. I will keep this very short and sweet. So we have found 3 dates. Again, we just in the event that we do have other items that need to be brought before this committee during this year. So we have found 3 dates that we just wanted to make sure we're in everyone's calendar. We, as the city is still currently meeting under COVID protocol, which is urgent items only, basically for all of our committee meetings, which is why we've had such a gap in our meetings. So we will be sending out invitations pending the committee's approval today for these meetings, and they will be canceled as necessary. There is always the event in which something urgent does arise that does not align with these committee dates, and we would book something else. Again, we will give you guys as much notice as possible so that you have that in your calendars, but this is just so that you can plan your schedules and know that these meetings are coming.
Okay. Could I have a mover and seconder for the dates as recommended? Mover Chris and a seconder Sarah, thank you. And that future meetings of the Brantford Accessibility Advisory Committee be scheduled for the following dates: June 10th, September 9th, and November 25th of this year. Is there any discussion that needs to take place? Those in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, it's carried. So I don't think there are no resolutions, there are no notices of motion, and I think the meeting is adjourned now. Is that, have I got that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. And I guess we'll see everyone June 10th.